Today we will be talking about lethal predator control in the United States. It first began in the early 20th century. As federal funding began to increase, the public's perception has shifted. With more knowledge and research beginning to circulate, widespread beliefs about predators began to change. The impacts of wildlife across the United States lends to the legitimacy of federally funded predator control programs. First, we will define what lethal predator control is. Lethal predator control is a wildlife management policy that is specifically aimed at reducing populations of predatory species, either to protect livestock or to boost populations of game animals. Some examples of this could include hunting, trapping, poisoning, shooting, etc.
Next, we will talk about this issue and where it occurs throughout the country. Some of the states where it takes place include Alaska, Washington, Texas, Montana, Michigan, and Utah. We researched the legal status in Texas, a place where there is an overabundance of feral hogs that cause problems to locals and the environment. Besides these hogs, there are other mammals that can wreak havoc on the environment, and thus are on a list of predator populations that are lethally controlled. In this research, they have a predator profile for each animal on this list. Things that are included in these profiles are the description of the animal, the legal status, meaning are they protected or not, distribution, meaning where are they located in Texas, the biology of the animal, effects on wildlife, meaning what wildlife they eat, evidence of predation, which is what they attack and how, and finally, control alternatives, which there are lethal and non-lethal methods used for the animal. Switching gears, every year the government puts aside $1 million to give to the Wildlife Service Program, which they kill bears, wolves, coyotes, and mountain lions, all to protect livestock. But these animals are not always the reason for livestock losses. Some losses happen due to weather, disease, illness, and birthing problems. The USDA explained the lethal methods used by wildlife services, for example, poisons like compound 1080 and sodium cyanide, has led to many human and pet injuries and even deaths, alongside harming the ecosystem that relies desperately on the healthy populations of predators to survive. A great example of this is when predators are keeping deer and elk populations in check so that more plants that these animals feed on or walk all over are given time to grow, and those plants could possibly be a habitat for other species.
There are many stakeholders involved when it comes to the issue of lethal predator control in the United States. Lethal predator control came about to reduce populations of predatory species, either to protect the livestock or to control the overpopulation of some species. Coyotes are a popular species targeted by lethal predator control. This extermination also has great impact on the environment that coyotes reside in. Coyotes play a major role in keeping their ecosystems healthy. Coyotes will hunt smaller predators such as foxes, possums, raccoons, and cats. Without the hunting of these smaller predators, populations of prey animals increase. With the populations of prey animals increasing, the grasses and bush that they feed on will gradually deplete, which impacts the ecosystem as a whole. The coyote is also an important figure in the Navajo religion. Coyotes are present in the Navajo creation story, from their role as originating death, placing the stars, and causing the flood that is present in the story. They were recorded as being the only other creature present when man and woman were created. Therefore, the killing of coyotes can be found offensive and disrespectful to people holding Navajo beliefs. The general public may also be negatively impacted by forms of lethal predator control because they may not agree with the killing of animals. Locals may be horrified at the fact that predator control groups or hunters are coming into their communities and setting up extermination methods to kill the animals they may have learned to love. These locals may feel powerless, knowing they have no say in the extermination of these animals. On the other hand, people such as farmers and ranchers may benefit from these exterminations because the predators being targeted are venturing into their land and hunting their livestock. Conservation groups may also benefit from lethal predator control from the introduction of hunting and hunting laws and regulations. Many people will violate hunting regulations and break hunting laws, resulting in the enforcements issuing fines. The money collected from these fines will go towards funding conservation projects. Though we do see conservation groups benefiting from lethal predator control, we also see groups advocating against it. One example of an advocate group is the organization Predator Defense. Predator Defense helps educate the public, elected officials, and ranchers and farmers on how people and predators can peacefully live together. They also promote non-lethal ways of control, such as relocation, immunocontraception, strategic fencing, and introduction of guard dogs. As you can see, there are many stakeholders associated with lethal predator control.
When considering a potential solution to this issue, after considering all stakeholders involved, we have come upon a potential solution. While we realize that we could just sit back and do absolutely nothing, we also know that this would only lead to populations of these predators to stay high and for the livestock to be continuously preyed upon. Therefore, the remove and relocate strategy seems to be the best option for the issue of lethal management of predators in the United States. This method would allow for predators to be removed from the area that they are causing problems in, where the livestock would remain protected, making the people that manage those animals happy as well. On the other hand, this method is known to be very expensive, and there are welfare concerns when it comes to the stress of the animals, as well as their limited space to interact. Another solution I found from researching is the use of guard animals. Guard animals are also a promising non-lethal technique, according to the results of one study which was demonstrated for sheep in the United States and Africa. There are other non-lethal methods as well, which include natural regulations such as immunocontraception, public education, modification, enhancement, and strategic fencing. These strategies could also be employed to help with the issue as well. Typically, strategic fencing is used in situations where producers are trying to protect their livestock animals from predators such as coyotes.
All in all, our research has shown that there are many differences between lethal and non-lethal methods of controlling a population, and in many cases, non-lethal methods of predator control are more beneficial than the lethal methods. A 3-year study was conducted on 11 South African farms, examining costs and benefits of lethal and non-lethal conflict mitigation method. Both the cost and efficiency of lethal versus non-lethal approaches have rarely been formally compared, but this study does compare the two methods. The result of the study suggests that non-lethal methods of human-wildlife conflict mitigation can reduce depredation and be economically advantageous compared to lethal methods of predator control. Therefore, we will stick with non-lethal methods.
Farmers and ranchers are concerned with the safety of their livestock against predatory species. They are impacted in that they may have to use personal resources in order to protect their land and livestock. They also have to be in accordance with federal and state laws when dealing with predators and possibly animal welfare groups. animal welfare groups would be impacted by lethal predator control as well. An example of this would be the organization Predator Defense. This animal welfare group is against lethal predator control and raises donations to maintain litigation services to help protect predatory wildlife. In order to protect these animals, they will have to increase their resources and funds in order to do so. Another stakeholder that will be impacted by lethal predator control are the Navajo, a Native American group who resides primarily in New Mexico and Arizona. The coyote is a cultural symbol to the Navajo, and so they will be affected by the lethal predator control of that animal.
As a group, we feel our perception regarding this topic has changed since we started researching more about it. Initially, we all had negative impacts about this method. The research we found proves that in many cases, non-lethal predator control methods are more effective than lethal control ones. In conclusion, we agree that lethal predator control is not the best form of predator control. It negatively impacts the community, environment, ecosystem, and non-lethal predator control can work just as well to control the population as lethal control methods can. We believe the first step should be non-lethal methods and to only use lethal ones when necessary. This wraps up our presentation, and we hope that you've learned something new and have opened your eyes a bit about why lethal predator control is not the best option for the ecosystem or even to control these predators. But we will let you make your own decisions about how you feel regarding lethal predator control in the United States after learning this information. Here are some links that you can go to if you would like to get involved or learn more about this topic. Thank you.